Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Well, I finally did it. I finally got 500 subs on my YouTube channel, baby! And that's what I want to talk about on today's episode. So roll that intro. So like the title of the video says, I finally have gotten 500 subs on my YouTube channel. And the great one has done it. 500, all thanks to you. I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for the 500 awesome people who watch my videos. Thank you. As simple as it sounds, it means the world to me. Thank you for subbing to my channel and, giving a little bit of traction to such a small channel like mine in this huge community on YouTube. So I just want to say thanks, and I really appreciate it. So what I was going to do was I made a short last week about a Q&A video for my 500 sub video. If you guys had any questions, I wanted you guys to leave them down in the comment section, and I'm going to answer them on this. But the response was overwhelming, so this is going to have to be a two-part video. I'm going to answer probably about almost 40 questions, and I'm going to do 20 of them on this video and 20 of them on the next video, because these things are going to get crazy long, because you know as well as I do, when I start talking about shit, I won't shut up. So, enough with the bullshit, let's get into the questions. Now, the first question that I got was from my buddy who I met at the convention, JLove81. And her question was, how did you like the Southeast Game Exchange? In one word, incredible. The best experience I've ever had at a convention. I felt like a king. I was treated like one. Everybody was so nice. I don't know how else to say it. It's one of my favorite conventions that I've ever been to. And that was the first year I had ever been to that. I didn't know anything about the Southeast Game Exchange until this year. So definitely we'll be back for 2022. That's an easy answer. It's phenomenal. I love meeting everybody. So it was just so cool to meet everybody. Look for all the games. See actual fans of my channel. It was a surreal experience. Somebody recognized me and said, hey, I love watching your videos. And it just made my day. It's weird, but definitely an awesome experience, J-Love. Thanks for the question. And my buddy James actually asked me another question, and he asked me, what's my favorite 8-bit sports title? Pretty easy here. My favorite game for the NES, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, baby. Iron Mike, fantastic game. Easily my favorite game for the system. But if you don't consider that a sport, which boxing is, I guess other than Punch-Out!, it would probably be Tecmo Bowl or Blades of Steel. I think I like Blades of Steel a little bit more than I like ice hockey. So, one of them. Next question was from my buddy, Jay, NES Addict. And he asked me, who's my favorite Ninja Turtle? Well, this is a tricky question. When I was a kid, it was easily, without a doubt, Michelangelo, the party animal, baby. But as I got older and, I started liking Raphael's attitude a little bit more. So I guess I can easily say in the cartoon, Michelangelo, but in the movie adaptation, definitely Raphael. I loved his gritty, his rude, just all-around attitude that he had for the movies. And he also asked me, who's my favorite G.I. Joe? Easy, no-brainer, the 1990 Night Creeper. This is my favorite G.I. Joe from the entire vintage G.I. Joe line. That's why I got him mint on card and I got him in a protector, because this figure, oh man, I don't know. I loved this figure when I was a kid. Me and my uncle would play G.I. Joes and I was always him. I don't know, it's just a cool looking figure. He's a fucking ninja, for one, and he just creeps around in the night all sneaky, and he's got a fucking crossbow. So, yeah, definitely Night Creeper from 1990. my buddy at the Big Retro Show, shout out to Big Retro Show, by the way. If you haven't went to his channel and subbed, definitely do that. I was actually up against him for YouTuber of the Month a couple months back, and he actually beat me, so congratulations to him. But he actually had a question, and he says, name a video game that describes you as a teenager. And, you know, that's pretty hard because I don't understand what he really means. But how I interpret it is, I guess, name a game that reminds you of being a teenager, or, you know, something like that. So if I had to pick the game that when I think about being a teenager, this is the game I think about playing with my friends and family, and that's easily Goldeneye for the N64. What do you say about this game? The multiplayer was so fun. I can't explain it. Now it looks fucking ridiculous, but back then it was revolutionary, and we played the shit out of this game. Tons of mods for it. You know, License to Kill. Our favorite mode by far, License to Kill, Facilities, Pistols Only, Paintball mode. We used to fucking play the shit out of this game, and that's why I have it complete in box. So definitely, Goldeneye for the N64 reminds me of being a teenager. And my buddy RonMan Gaming asked me, if you had to lose all your games but was allowed to keep one, what would it be and why? This is a no-brainer again. Out of all the games I have, if I could only keep one, it would definitely be, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo. This game right here has so many memories and so much nostalgia. I played this game with everybody. My brother, my uncle, my cousins, my fucking grandma played this game before. Like, my aunt, this game we loved. We loved Turtles, so when this came out, we played the absolute shit out of it. And this copy right here I would never get rid of. Without a doubt, I would get rid of anything in my collection. All my expensive games, no, this is staying right here. And this copy is immaculate too, so definitely never getting rid of this. And my buddy RetroWolf88 asked me a pretty detailed question, so I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. He says, what do you do to avoid all the bullshit and negativity that affects part of the gaming community on social media? I think 98% of the people in this community are awesome, but then you have that 2% that you want to drag everybody down, and they seem to have the loudest voice sometimes. So how do you deal with that and avoid it? Well, I know it's going to sound cliche, but misery loves company. And you just have to remember that. There's always going to be a fucking hater out there. There's always going to be somebody who is going to try to drag somebody else down. Trust me, man. And there's some people that are miserable and mad 24/7. And their favorite thing to do is, well, you're happy and you are too. Let's just bring y'all down to my level and just ruin your fucking day, right? So the only advice I could say is don't fuck with people like that. And just live your life. Brush that shit off your shoulders, because there's going to be haters everywhere. There's haters in any kind of situation, man. There's people that say Michael Jordan isn't the best basketball player. There's people who say Michael Jordan is the best. So there's always going to be a hater. There's always going to be a LeBron hater. There's always going to be haters for Mario games. You know, it just goes on and on. There's always going to be somebody that has negative comments. So my advice to you is to just let them run their mouth. You do you get the come-ups, and you rise up above them, because the only thing that I love to do to people that are extremely negative all the time is I kill them with kindness. And that's what I suggest. You know, maybe it's like a light way of trolling, but hey, man, I just want people to get along. And in the retro gaming community is some of the most just scum-sucking lowlifes. I swear, I'm being honest. Like, there's some people in this retro gaming community that will just try to tear you apart. You don't have your games in protective cases. Oh, you got a bad condition game. I mean, just anything they can just complain and bitch about, they will. Oh, you collect for the 64. That system sucks. Or, oh, you're going to go all digital and you're not going to have any physical copy. Like, there's so many things to bitch about. Just be yourself, rise above it, and let all that other shit just roll off your shoulders, bro. That's my advice to you. Another question I got was from Big Family Gaming, and he says, what is the one that got away? What's the one game that got away from you? And that's an obviously easy question for me to ask, because I've actually passed it up twice. Once when it was 50 and once when it was 100. And that's Kid Clown for the NES. That's one of the last games that I have remaining, and I'm so pissed off and negative about just choking on those 2 deals that now I just won't pick it up. Like, I just refuse to buy it. So, definitely that's definitely one of the ones that got away that I should have picked up. Was definitely Kid Clown for the NES. My buddy Ira Retro Gamer Dad asked me, if I could collect anything other than toys and video games, what would it be? That's a tough question. I really don't collect a lot of stuff other than toys and video games. But if I could choose, I don't know. I love to start collecting maybe vinyl soundtracks for video games. I guess I'm kind of cheating there, but like, they're extremely expensive though. I'd love to have the Castlevania on vinyl, the Contra soundtracks. I would love to get into collecting those. They're extremely pricey, and a lot of them were like limited run, select copies that were pressed. So they're pretty much hard to do, but that would be something, definitely video game vinyl. And my buddy RonMan Gaming asked me, what's my favorite Zelda boss? This is easy as pie. Without a doubt, Puppet Ganon from Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. There's been a lot of awesome Ganon battles, or, slash Ganondorf, whatever. This battle, incredible. Fantastic. My favorite, definitely my favorite, boss battle from Zelda is the Puppet Ganon. Number 2, what game do you think is widely overrated? Now, I'm going to ruffle some feathers. In my opinion, a game that is overrated, without a doubt, is Super Mario Bros. 2. There's something about that game that I just don't like. I would have rather got, Super Mario Bros. Lost Levels, which was basically Super Mario Bros. 2, but it was so similar to Super Mario Bros. That we got. All it was like a harder difficulty Mario Brothers. So they just went the opposite direction. And everybody knows the story with the Doki Doki Panic. But to me, Super Mario Bros. 2, I just think it's weaker than the 3 out of the 3. It's the weakest one. When I play a Mario game, I want to play as Mario or Luigi. I don't want to fuck around with Toad or Princess Peach. First of all, she's a cheating character. She just floats through the whole game. So she's like a cheat code. And then Toad, he just sucks. So I want to play as Mario or Luigi, and that's it. I didn't like the whole, dream sequence and all that. I think it's, I don't know, definitely Super Mario Bros. 2. I don't understand the hype. The next question is from a channel that I watch called the New 80s Revolution. And Jason asked me, how can the New 80s Revolution and Retro Reminiscence team up for an epic video collab? And I'm going to tell you, there's 2 ways. We're either going to be talking about G.I. Joes, or we're going to be talking about professional wrestling, WWF preferably, mid to late 80s, very early 90s at the most. I'm a huge wrestling fan. I know a lot of people don't like professional wrestling, and I don't really watch a lot of it now. But back then, oh yeah, I was a huge fucking wrestling fan. Storylines, when you're a kid and you're just enthralled with that, and you see this bigger, larger than life people on screen, it just blew my mind. I loved it. And I'm either gonna, I have an idea if it's gonna be wrestling, but if it's G.I. Joe's, I want to run it by him. I'm gonna run both of them by him, but it's gonna be one of those 2, Jason. So definitely get ready. Now I got 10 fucking questions from my buddy back in the day. His name is Joel, and he asked me 10 questions. I gotta get my phone out for this one. So this is what he asked me. Number 1, what's a console that you'd love to collect for, but just haven't started to get? That's easy. The TurboGrafx 16. It's at a point now where it's just, I'm priced out. Every game is almost $100+. You know, there's some that are like 50, 60, but that's just for the cartridge, the Hue card. So, TurboGrafx 16. I wish I could collect for it. There's some great games for it, some awesome shooters, good platformers, a couple good beat 'em ups, a couple good RPGs. Legendary Axe is one of my favorite games, so definitely TurboGrafx 16. And he also asked, what's a game that everybody loves, but you dislike, and why? And I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this, but in my opinion, I don't think Ocarina of Time is so classic like everybody thinks it is. I do like the game, but I just feel like there's better Zelda games. I think people who grew up in the N64 era will always look back and say, hey, that's the best Zelda game, you know, without a doubt. I just beg to differ. I think, you know, Link to the Past is better. I think Link's Awakening is better. I think Breath of the Wild is better. So there's a lot of, I think Wind Waker's better. Like, there's a lot of Zelda games I like more than Ocarina of Time. You know, and it's not because of the Water Temple or none of that. It's just, I don't know. I played it back then, and my cousin used to play it all the time, and he beat the hell out of it. And I don't know. I liked it, but it just, to me, it just didn't hold a candle to A Link to the Past. He also asked me, do you collect any type of movie memorabilia from the 80s? Now, yes, I do, but it's not like official memorabilia, so it's not nothing that was like screen used. That's just like too expensive. So, but I do collect, like, you know, Ghostbusters toys that, you know, based on the movie. I have a couple movie posters. You know, I like Goonies, The Wizard, First Blood with Stallone, RoboCop. You know, just, I have some things from the 80s, but they're not like official, you know, screen used. But definitely, if I was going to get some actual memorabilia from movies, I mean, yeah. I want fucking, you know, John Rambo's big-ass knife that's in First Blood. Yeah, I'd love to fucking have that. I'd love to have, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger's shotgun in Terminator. Like, I would love to have those props. He also asked me, what's your favorite genre of music / favorite band? My favorite genre of music is, I don't know if, I don't really know the name of it. It's, I have such a wide variety of music I like. I like hip-hop, I like rock, I like alternative, I like country, I like, you know, 70s music, 80s music, 90s music. But if it's a certain type of music, I tend, when I was younger, I tended to lead towards, you know, alternative, things like Pearl Jam, Silverchair, you know, Stone Temple Pilots, Aerosmith, you know, things like that. And then I like a lot of 70s music like Lynyrd Skynyrd, Bob Dylan, things like that. Favorite band is going to be somebody probably from the 90s. I mean, there were so many good 90s bands. I mean, who didn't like, you know, Bush was huge. I mean, I loved Hootie and the Blowfish. But one of my favorite bands is a band called Toad the Wet Sprocket. I always liked them even since back then. So, another one's John Mellencamp. You know, there's a lot. So definitely one of those. But hopefully I answered your question. He asked, what's your biggest guilty pleasure song? I don't know. In the guilty pleasure, like a song that's terrible or you're embarrassed to like listen to it with somebody, but when nobody's around, you start singing it, kind of like Shania Twain or something like that. I think that's what that means, but I don't know. There's really no song that I'm kind of ashamed to like. Maybe there was a song back in the 90s made by Green Jelly, and it's called Three Little Pigs. And I just remember being in school and seeing that video, because it was an awesome video. It was like claymation kind of, but I found myself like singing that all the time. And over the years, I've just sung it every now and then, and he just had that real raspy voice. Like, I don't know, it's just that was a cool song, and I guess that could be a guilty pleasure because a lot of people hated that song, and I don't know, but I thought it was pretty good. He also asked, "What's my all-time favorite '80s movie?" That's easy, no brainer. Stallone First Blood is my favorite '80s movie. Iconic. Now, I was going to say Rocky, but Rocky was actually made at the end of the 70s, so it just missed the cut because I do like Rocky. I don't know. It depends on the day of the week, but without a doubt, my favorite 80s is Stallone First Blood. He also asked, what is my favorite 90s movie? Now, this is a little bit more difficult. There was a ton of good movies. There's none that really like stand out as my favorite one from the 90s, but I guess I can give you like 5 that I really loved. Tombstone, Twister, Jurassic Park, Misery. Man, there's so many. Dumb and Dumber. I mean, I loved comedies. I loved horror movies. I loved a lot of thrillers back then. I mean, Young Guns is good. Like, there's so many good movies from the 90s that, I mean, just go, into Google and type in, like, top 10 movies in 1994, and it'll blow your mind how many bangers came out just in 1994. So, definitely, it's one of those, I guess. He also asked, name a place that you would love to travel to in the world and why. I'd love to travel to either Japan or China, somewhere within, those, that area around there, because I love the culture. I love some of my favorite video game composers are from China and Japan and all them surrounding areas. And I just love I love the food, I love the culture, I love to learn more about it, and I love to go there and hang out and back when I was in school, way back in the day, I actually had a pen pal that was a chick that was actually from, Okinawa, Japan. And it was wild, like, trying to write to her in her language. It was just, I don't know, it's something I remember from my childhood, but I definitely would love to go to either, China, Japan, anywhere around there. So, definitely one of those. He also asked, what's the last book that I read? And man, that's a good question. I'm not going to lie and beat around the bush. I don't read very much. Unless it's something I'm really into. Like I read, Pat Contry, Guide to the NES Library book. I read a lot of that because I was into video games. So, yes, that's something that I read. And I also read the old Resident Evil actually had a paperback series that came out with like 4 or 5 books. And I read all those, and I think that's probably the last thing I really sat down and like read that wasn't something that, I felt like I had to do because of school or work or anything like that. I'm sorry, I'm not very interesting. There's a guy that I work with, and he told me that he loves to spend his free time reading, and I just looked at him like he was out of his mind, and that's terrible, but I'm just not used to reading. It's not a hobby for me. Like, it's a chore. Like, oh, I gotta read all this, or, I don't know. But those are some of the things that I've read lately. And then my cousin Travis actually asked me a really cool question. He goes, what do you consider the most frustratingly difficult game ever? And that's a tough one. But I don't know if he remembers this, but I remember this. So there was a game called Metal Gear Solid 2. Substance, and there was a mode in that game called the Extreme European mode or European Extreme mode, one or the other, but it was relentlessly difficult. I mean, relentlessly difficult. Every part in the game was tough. If you had to do all these things, one-hit deaths. If the camera saw you, the game reset all the way back to the beginning. And there's this challenge in the game to get 100% completion. You have to get every dog tag in the game. And what you do is you got to sneak up on every enemy in the game and shake them down for their dog tags. Now, there's a part in the game where you actually, there's actually a part where you have to get a secret dog tag, and we could not figure it out for the life of us. Well, we figured out you actually have to shake down Snake and get his dog tag. But how's that? Because you're supposed to be playing as Snake. Well, if you ever played Metal Gear Solid 2, you play as an alternate character called Raiden. And there's only one part in the entire game where you can actually shake down Snake and get his dog tag to complete the challenge of 100% completion. And that also includes not getting seen by anybody, not getting seen by any camera, because if you do, the game resets to the beginning. Multiple times we got to 90-95% complete in the game, and something stupid would happen. And we had to start all the way over. By far one of the hardest things that I've ever completed in video games. So that was one of them. And another one would be beating Contra 3, the Alien Wars, on the hardest difficulty with the least amount of men. And I beat that with my Uncle Marty. And it was incredibly difficult. So either one of those. Alright guys, that's almost 20 questions. And the videos get crazy long. So I'm going to make a part 2. But this is part 1. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any more, fuck it, throw them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, keep on reminiscing, baby.
Cause Stone Cold E.T. likes whooping ass. When Stone Cold E.T. rides a bicycle, I ride it long, I ride it hard, just like the Texas rattlesnake when he's done whooping Vince McMahon's ass. Give me a, oh, hell yeah.